Hi everyone, I'm Heather. Welcome to Strings and Threads, streaming to you from my dungeon of dreams. Join me in the magical world of crochet, knitting, and all things yarn. If you're a fellow yarn enthusiast, hit that subscribe button and become part of our creative journey. Let's dive into today's project. Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to the bowling knitted hat. I'm going to call it a guide. So you can see it's bowling pins, bowling ball, bowling pins, bowling ball. I go over what inspired me to make this design it's not really a tutorial, it's more like a guide. This is why I'm coming on before I have the guide, to just explain that this is not a beginner step-by-step where I'm making it with you tutorial. This is where I have the PDF in the description and you can print it out, and I describe how to read the pattern, the grid. And so you already need to know how to do your stitches, how to start, how to end. I don't go over any of that. I don't go over how to do the stitches. So this is more of a guide to how to read my PDF, and then you can go and make one yourselves. I will include my email address, so feel free if you have any questions to reach out, or if you have any issues getting the design on your PDF or the digital version of it, let me know and I can email it directly to you. So don't feel unhappy by this. I want to make sure that everybody's happy by this. If you already know how to knit, this should be perfectly fine. If you are not proficient with the stitches yet, maybe you'll want to practice them a little bit and then come back to this guide. Hi, my name is Heather. Welcome to Strings and Threads. This is a guide to how to make the knitted bowling hat. Let me push this up so you can get more of a view of it. So we've got the bowling pins and bowling ball. And this was a design that I came up with because both of my sons are avid bowlers and they wanted to have a bowling hat. So I was like, what could I do? And I tried a couple different things, but this was our favorite of all of my designs. So I thought I would share that with you. I know bowling is kind of a niche thing. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you were interested in making this, I would be thrilled. I came up with a guide and I just wanted to go over the guide with you because this is not a beginner tutorial where I show you how to do every stitch and I go through the whole pattern with you. This is where I provide you with a PDF. So if you look in my description, there will be a PDF that looks exactly like what I'm showing you on, in the PDF or in the description, I'm sorry. And it's just me going over how to read this PDF. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. My email is in my description as well. If you have any kind of issue downloading the PDF, I would be happy to email you directly a PDF version of this, this right here. I want you to be successful, but I think that, for people who know what they're doing, you don't need me to do a full tutorial where I'm making this with you. So let's get started. Hopefully I did not mess this up. I have no idea what I just clicked. Is it this one? Yes. Okay, here we go. Knitted bowling hat. And I have the design on a grid here. So it says, begin working in the round from the bottom up. So this hat will be worked bottom up. I recommend using medium weight yarn and then you can use any needle size you want. I used these US 4 or 3.5 millimeter knitting needles with the other one. I just kind of like the tighter stitch better. And I used one of the smaller cords that I have. I like these knitting needles because these are removable and you can put the new ones on and they screw on. I used to have a pair that would pop in and they kept popping out and I would lose my stitches. Anyway, that's beside the point. So you'll cast on 90 stitches and then you bring them around and you start joining it as a circle. Use a stitch marker. This one is really important. Use a stitch marker to mark the first stitch of each round. Move the stitch marker up with each new round. So you don't want to lose track of where your first stitch is because then it's hard to know when to move on to the next row. Start with the brim using any brim pattern you desire. I recommend knit 2, purl 2. You can make the brim any size you want. I suggest between 5 and 8 rounds. So if you look at the pattern here, this bottom part here is the brim. And so you don't have, I have it for 8 rounds. You don't have to do it for 8 rounds. You can make it thicker or thinner depending on what you're looking for. But you just, as soon as you're done with your brim, you would move on to the next round. If you only do 5, then just skip the last 3 and move on to the pattern. I just needed to have it go somewhere when I created the chart. Okay, and I did knit 2, purl 2 for my brim, so you can see how that looks. But you're welcome to do any design that you want. And I did mine for 8 rounds, I believe. And it says, after completing the brim, follow the colors and pattern on the chart using the stockinette. Knit every stitch in the round stitch. Read the chart from right to left for every row. So once you get to this next round, you can use any color you want. I charted this in red. I'm actually going to make a second hat for my other son, and he, in the place of the red, he wanted this blue. So you would just do one round here of just the plain color. And then in the next round, you're going to join black in, and you're just going to carry your colors through. So in the next round, you would go black, red, or whatever color you were using. But you notice that when I did round 9 on this chart, I went across. But then when I went to go to do round 10, I still read it from right to left. When you go to round 11, still read it right to left. You're not going to be going back and forth on this pattern because we're going in a round where basically you can say that this, if you cut this out of a piece of paper and brought it around, that's how we would be reading it. So when you go across here, you're actually meeting up with the next stitch over here. And that's why it's really important to use a stitch marker to mark where the first stitch is. Then, once the hat from the brim to the top measures 7.5 inches or 19.5 centimeters, or your desired size, you can make it as tall as you would like. Begin decreasing by knitting 2 stitches together, then 1 stitch in the next 4, 1 knit stitch in the next 4 stitches, and repeat until the top of the hat closes. So you'll eventually need to go on to 4 needles. And then what I didn't go until it completely closed. I went till I had about a circle like this, and then I cut a longer tail, and I weaved the tail into the stitches, and then I pulled tight. And you can see when you pull that tight, it closes all the way. And what I mean when I say go 7.5 or 19.5 centimeters, 7.5 inches or 19.5 centimeters from the brim, it would be taking your tape measure and starting on the brim and then going up 7. So this you'll measure it up until you start decreasing. So you're going to have one color for your brim, then you'll do the pattern, and then you'll have a color that you use up here, and you just keep going around with this color. It's not necessarily going to be the same amount of rows as I have on the top here, you're going to go by measurements and not by how many. It was hard for me to know how many to put in, especially since everybody's stitches are a little bit different, tighter, looser, and you might get to 7.5 inches in less rows than I do, for example. So once you are just going around and around and it reaches the desired height of 7.5 inches, 19.5 centimeters, or whatever you desire, that's when you start decreasing. And something that I didn't say in the pattern, but something extra that I did is that I knitted a second hat just plain in the stockinette stitch. I did the garter stitch for a couple of rows so that it wouldn't be folding under. And then I did the stockinette stitch, and then I sewed. You can kind of see where my stitches are. Here. I sewed the two hats together. It makes it doubly thick, but it also hides the ugliness of having all of the carried over stitches in the back. And it keeps them safe too. So, you know, you can feel free to do that. I'm going to do that with the second hat that I make as well, because I like that. I like to cover up the back, you know, the wrong side of these patterns. And I also like the thicker hat because it does get, at least where I am, it does get pretty cold. But that's just optional. I didn't even put it into the written directions. That's just something extra. So please feel free to reach out to me for any questions. I know this isn't a typical tutorial where I make one with you. I didn't think that, since this pattern is for people who already have experience, I didn't think I needed to go through each and every round with you, and the video would take forever to do that. So, you know, if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any issues getting the PDF, let me know. And I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.